Welcome to Two Luckies,
the podcast,
and our series Dyin
Cryin
and
Lyin.
This is a series of us talking about Little House on the Prairie and our take on it as adults.
It is very different as an adult.
Very different. And if you sum this all up, they can fall into one of three categories, either dying,
They're crying,
or they're lying. So sit back, relax, come take an adventure with us as we reminisce on Little House the Prairie, Dyin
Cryin,
and
Lyin.
Season 1, The Racoon.
We have hopes for this one.
Right away, this one did not disappoint because we're not even 2 minutes in and we have our first crying.
Because Laura has a new doll with some kind of, what is it called, ceramic face.
Yeah.
And her name is Janet. And they're playing outside, her and Mary. And Mary wants to play ball because she doesn't want to miss with the ball so much. And of course, Mary throws it way overhead. And Laura goes ass over tea kettle over this log that her doll was laying on. And she broke the face. And she is crying. So right out of the gate, they got us.
I've got to call this one out as a Lyin because Charles is sitting there trying to glue the head of this doll back together. And he says, I'm not going to be able to do it. You know, there's little pieces that are just dust. And here's my Charles. You think we could? And right away,
another one?
Right away, he's got, no, I'm afraid not. Wait a minute. You were able to take a second honeymoon. You were able to travel. You were going to spend $2 for a bonnet. How much could that doll have cost back then? $1?
Yeah, I think dolls were much less expensive, and this really didn't. I mean, it was kind of like a Nelly style doll, but the Ingalls version of it. And no, but I mean, he immediately went to no, but he's got money for tobacco and he's got money for that coffee.
Yeah, there you go. Just like I suspected. Here's Mary in the store, the mercantile with Nels, and she wants to replace the head. And
they're looking through the catalog.
It's a good deal of money. Well, the best. She goes, how much? Well, the best one with movable eyes, it's $1.20.
No, but $1.20. But did Laura even have one with the best head? Couldn't they find out what the one was for the head that she actually had? Like, why did we go straight to like the best version?
Bring it. 59 cents and 69 cents. Those were the cheapest ones. Didn't Ma just turn in a dozen eggs for 59 cents? Or was it 56 cents?
But yeah, if they could do...
Yeah, come on.
It was more than a dozen eggs, but if they could do the eggs for 56 cents, I mean, we don't know their expenses, but Nels felt bad that, Mary only had 11 cents. Meanwhile, they had that episode where they had to raid the penny to go raid their Christmas pennies to pay for the slate pencils. So they're coming up in the world because Mary had a whole 11 cents. Mary comes running over the hill. And she finds Jack and she says, why are you way out here? And Jack is barking at this bush, finds I think it was a dead raccoon with a littler raccoon, like a baby raccoon.
Baby raccoon.
With it, and she's petting this raccoon. And now we come home and we're at the farm. And here is Laura hugging this raccoon with a big smile on her face. Without asking any adult, Mary gifts the young raccoon to Laura, and then Laura names him Jasper, and Ma is very unhappy with this whole arrangement. Laura wants to take Jasper and have him sleep in bed with her and Mary. Mary is not very keen on this, and we hear the jingling. Pa is on his way home, and Mary goes to the window. Ma was not happy about this raccoon, saying that it never lived in a house before and it was probably going to get up into mischief, which she means is some kind of a mess or something like that, right?
Right.
Pa comes inside. He is immediately unimpressed that she is sitting there, Laura, with this raccoon hugging it like it's a baby. And they go through a whole thing about Pa says, no, 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 no. Ma looked like she was agreeing with him. And now all of a sudden... he's going out there to tell Laura that she can keep Jasper for a little while because, he was being too sensible now, Ma said, and he doesn't want people to think that he's the meanest one in Minnesota.
She's pretty wishy-washy, huh?
It's like, I mean, couldn't you just say no? But then she says yes, and like she's going back and forth. But now he somehow is the villain because he was saying this is a wild animal. It's not a dog. It's not a cat. It was never meant to live indoors. It's an outdoor animal. The smirk has been smirked. He came out with the smirk, went outside. The kids are all dejected. Mary looks upset because she never thought that Pa was going to say no. And now they've been informed that Jasper could be kept, but he will be kept out in the barn because unlike Jack, he's not a dog. He has to stay out in the barn only for a little while. So this is a temporary arrangement until Jasper is bigger because Jasper is going to grow.
He's going to grow bigger than a dog.
Bigger than a dog somehow.
Yay, Carrie. She had a line.
She had a line. She said, Jasper.
Jasper.
Mary makes up a crate with some straw for Jasper to sleep in. Laura really still wants him to be in the house, but Laura seems to be missing the point that Pa was trying to make as she's hugging this raccoon and saying, my little baby, and Pa really maybe has not realized how attached Laura is getting to this raccoon, and he's thinking it's a temporary arrangement, but she is acting like it's anything but.
Once again, Pa is clueless.
Yeah, we've noticed this with these guys. Like, what's going on? The girls have Jasper on a string, and they're feeding him eggs and making him stand up while he's eating the eggs. And Jack seems very like antsy around this raccoon.
Yes, he's
barking
always
and
snippy,
like running away.
barking.
He seems very uncomfortable, and they're just kind of leaving Jack. You know, the girls are leaving Jack to himself, but Mary and Laura are now taking Jasper to school because Laura has spoken so much about Jasper that even Miss Beadle wants to meet Jasper. So they're bringing Jasper to school. She already fed an egg. They don't have enough eggs because they sell their eggs. They don't have enough eggs to waste on them. Mary informs us. And Laura fed her lunch egg to Jasper already. And she has one more egg to make him stand up in school. And now they're heading in, which this seems like a very interesting idea.
Show and tell.
Yes. Jack actually tries to attack Jasper while Jasper's on this string, and they're walking, Mary and Laura are walking to school with Jasper, and he actually, they do a close-up of him showing his fangs. Now he's on Miss Beadle's desk, and he's eating an egg, and they're talking about what raccoons eat. And we have our first instance of Jasper getting a little
snippy.
Well, he gets snippy. He gets very upset with Willie, I think it is, tries to reach out to him, and Jasper hisses and swipes at him, and now they all jump back.
Laura just said Jasper never bites. We got to call that Lyin. And as we'll find out, Jasper does quite a bit of biting, but...
Well, she's starting to seem like she's starting to realize that maybe having a wild animal as a pet, maybe Pa was right. And Miss Beadle gives an assignment for everybody to say some kind of an essay about what wild animal they would like to own. Is this like, were we encouraging this?
This is not the best idea.
I mean, really?
Let's see.
Laura's getting ready for church. She goes into the barn to say goodbye to Jasper. I wasn't sure whether or not Jasper was tied up, but we're thinking maybe he wasn't tied up because we see this raccoon chase the chickens around the yard shortly after she feeds him an egg, and he does the trick where he hides his eyes, and then they go to church, and this raccoon is now chasing the chickens around the yard, walks up a pile of wood and just pushes into the window that just easily gives way and just swings inward. And now he's causing mischief in the house, which Ma, here we go again, she knew what was going to happen before it was going to happen. Jack is furiously barking outside because he knows that the raccoon is in there and shouldn't be. They just come back, and Laura has been enterprising in the back of the wagon because everybody now wants a baby raccoon, and she's trying to figure out how to get baby raccoons so she can make a lot of money and sell them. And Pa gets the smirk out because Jasper's a boy, and now they're just about to go into the cabin.
Laura's the first one into the house, sees everything on the floor, ripped open.
Well, because Jasper just slipped out of the door and when she opened it.
Mom and Pa walk in right behind her, and the look of shock, like, oh my Lord, and here's Pa, that's it. That raccoon's gonna go.
Well, he throws Carrie into Ma's arms, throws on his coat, which, what was he wearing beforehand? Why, didn't they just come in?
Yeah, they just came in.
He didn't take anything off. He was
right.
carrying Carrie. He
So he's gotta
throws
get the
Carrie
coat.
at Ma. Ma grabs him, and all of a sudden now he's getting his coat because that's enough. He's getting rid of this raccoon, and Ma is regretting her life's choices.
If you ask me, the only thing that needs to go is that shirt he's been wearing the entire season.
But somehow he
let's
needs
see.
a jacket when he didn't need one before. So let's see where they're going with this.
Laura's in the barn scolding Jasper for being a bad raccoon, for going into the house and spilling everything. And here comes Pa right behind her. Sorry, Half Pint. Grabs some kind of a sack off of a post. And what are you going to do, Pa? Jasper's got to go. My mind's made up.
Well, and he says no crying and no something, no complaining and no crying. So we got denied our crying, and Jasper has just been released out into the woods.
And I just want to point out, too, with this Jasper, the raccoon that actually went into the house was not Jasper.
The one that
it
was
looked
chasing the
totally
chickens,
different
yes.
than what
The
Jasper
one that was chasing the
so-
chicken seems very different markings and colorings and everything else than the one that does the tricks.
But what are you going to do?
We got our very next
Lyin.
because Pa just said he made up his mind. He put Jasper in a sack. He released him, and somehow, before he even got back to the farm, Jasper is already in the barn with Laura, and now she's wondering what he's going to do, and he's resigned to the fact that Jasper's coming back, and now he's going to build him
Build
a
a
cage.
cage. It's
So
like, make
when
up
you
your
said your
mind.
mind was made up, it was for about 42 seconds, because here we go. You were a lion, even if you didn't intend to. This is a first one. We got a crying from Jack. He just got bit by Jasper because, of course, Bob builds this cage that looks like, what did you say? Like,
It looked like an old Vietnamese POW
I mean,
cage.
he had barely enough room to turn around before he had to turn around again if he was pacing in this cage. And Laura's trying to feed him in the cage. Of course, they bring Jack. Mary's unable to stop Jack from barking. We've known the whole episode that Jack is unhappy with this arrangement.
So
And then
first Jack bit Laura's finger, or bit her arm.
Jasper bit Laura first.
Yes.
Jasper bit
bit Laura, and then he got out of the cage and then bit Jack, who was
Crying. And they really went back and forth between them. It was an epic battle here.
Looks like they set us up for our very next
Lyin. And they rolled with it. It was almost everything that came out of Laura's mouth was a lie. She was trying to say that Jasper was just upset. It was because of Jack. Jack riled him up, and that they're planning on not telling Pa. She convinces Mary to stay quiet, and it's a little bite. We can see this red thing on her arm. Mary had been looking at Jack's paw, and Jack had been bitten, and now Laura has done this whole bunch of lying to get Mary to finally agree to just tell Pa. Her version of the truth is she opened the cage, Jasper ran out, and somehow that's the truth, but there was a whole lot of biting, fighting. Jack was crying even, so Laura was a lion. Carrie has a line before she goes to bed. Yay, Carrie!
Hey, Carrie!
Pa's opens the door. It's nighttime. Ma's fussing around doing something. Mary and Laura are sitting at the table. Laura's got her hand on her head. Pa says he hasn't seen her. Somehow Jack comes in the door, jumps up on Pa's chair, walks on the table, and now they had just showed him before with visible blood on his paw, and somehow misses all of this. He must have cleaned it all up, the dog. And he's saying that, no sense in looking, Pa's saying no sense in looking for Jasper because he's decided to go live out in the woods. And what I want to know is, how did you miss that this dog was bit this bad?
Well, at least this time it was the dog and it wasn't Carrie that got the old pipe in the face. Pa's got the pipe.
Right, because, the pipe has come. We missed it in the last episode. It was absent. He's always got something in his hand, except for, he had popcorn in the last episode, but the pipe is here. Carrie got another line, and he's still not seeing this dog.
Didn't take long for Mary to start squealing.
Yes, she has a habit of letting the cat out of the bag here. And we find out that Jack is the reason because Pa was trying to say, you got your old buddy Jack over here, your dog. We grabbed him like roughly by the scruff over there. And Laura saying, well, it was Jack's fault that Jasper left, and now Mary let the cat out of the bag and said, well, that's because Jasper bit him. And he seems unconcerned about checking the dog at all, tells us even though the raccoons can rip a dog apart, and this is all for the best, and that's where we're at.
I knew they were going to bring it this time around
it.
because we not only did we get our first Dyin, but we also have our next Cryin.
They pulled it out. They amped it up because we find out that Jasper remembered where the farm was. He chased around the chickens, and Jack, of course, was ignored while he was in the house trying to bark to let them know that something was going on. And some raccoon, Jasper, whatever, had time to kill a chicken. So that was our Dyin. And then Pa's over there. He goes and investigates in the barn. Of course, he's shirtless. He goes, looks up in the loft. And Jasper comes jumping out in his face, and he takes the pitchfork and he's stabbing it into the hay where he thinks that Jasper is. So he thinks that Jasper is Dyin. And we come inside, and Ma is hugging Laura, who is crying. So they made it for us. They remembered us. We ended up with a triple Cryin because while Pa is trying to console Laura while she's crying on Ma's lap, and Laura's saying, it's my fault because I spoiled him on eggs, and that's why this all happened. And he said, I didn't want to do it. He didn't want to kill Jasper. And now Mary is crying, and now Ma is crying, and they was just spreading that crying around. They were crying. Pa is in the barn tying up Jack. Ma comes out after she finally gets a crying Laura to sleep. And we find out that whatever the raccoon was, the raccoon was rabid. Somehow he knew that, and he buried the chicken that had passed away, the one that was Dyin. And now he buried them both really quickly, the raccoon and the chicken, so he doesn't want Ma to come any closer. And he looked finally at the dog, at the wound, even though it was like a day or two later, and the raccoon had drawn blood. And now we have this ominous feeling.
Ominous. Pa is such a brilliant plan maker. You know, he's got this big plan that, oh my God, the raccoon was rabid, so I buried that and the chicken right away, and I've got Jack tied up, and of course only Ma knows about this. Now, if it was this important, which it is, wouldn't you tell the kids, especially since you have a live animal that you're used to playing with, not to go near it? So why do we see Mary walking into the barn and sees Jack tied up? Oh, Jack, who did this to you? Just to be stopped in the nick of time by good old Chaz.
He comes out with the pitchfork, and then he explains the whole thing about how, the raccoon was rabid, and I didn't want to say anything. Why would you not want to say anything? This is like a really big
Let's
deal.
keep it a secret.
I mean, this is like, I was thinking to myself, like, this is becoming like a PSA for the rabies thing. And then it's supposed to be this really big deal. And now Mary is over here with a chin quivering, crying because she knows something that she neglected to tell anybody because she agreed with Laura to be lying about the fact that Laura got bit. So now if Jack needs to be tied up because he has the potential to have rabies, she just realized, but she's hugging him now. She has yet to say it to him, but she is sobbing, crying because now she thinks that Laura is going to be dying.
That was something.
They poured it on with this cry, and Mary cried for like 5 minutes straight. It felt she was sobbing. Pa's holding her head in his hands, and finally she spills the beans that she made a promise not to tell about the fact that Jasper had bit Laura. And we see Mary and Carrie, who is out of the high chair. She's
Carrie.
sitting in the front of the buckboard with Mary, and we see Dr. Baker's, they're outside Dr. Baker's house, so we're assuming we're going to find out what's going on.
Didn't take long to come back to have our next Lyin. Because as they're sitting out in the buckboard, there's Carrie. Yay, Carrie.
Yay, she had her another line. She said 2 lines in this one.
What'd she say? What's the matter?
Yes, what's the matter?
And what's Mary say? Oh, nothing.
Nothing, and that
Carrie.
is
Lyin.
You were just crying that you were saying that you thought that Laura was going to be dying because she got bit by Jasper, and you're telling her, oh no, everything's fine.
Uh-huh.
Doc Baker is in on it with the
Lyin.
We go inside. He tells Laura he's expecting this bite that's 4 days old that looks pretty angry and kind of big. And he's telling her, oh, no worries. Here's my prescription, a gumdrop. And she says, no medicine? And he says, nope. And he gives her 2 more gumdrops for her sister so there's no fighting. And he sends her outside and says, I want to talk to Ma and Pa. And now we get the deets because he is laying it down saying, watch the dog, and we won't know, but he was a lion.
Then I also got to point out that he said he wanted to talk to Ma and Pa. He hasn't seen him in a spell. That's not why he wanted to talk to him.
So that's also a
lion.
They're just packing him in. We find out that the treatment at this time for rabies was there is no treatment. So
Nothing.
He told no children to stay away from the barn and the dog that he thought was rabid before he knew about Laura. And now they're saying it's 3 weeks to a month where they're going to find out the incubation period for Laura is 3 to 4 weeks or something like, did I say months?
Yeah, it's 3 to 4
4
weeks,
weeks.
but the incubation period for Jack is
Much shorter.
It's like up to 8 days. I
So
think.
watch the dog because hydrophobia or something like that, which made me think of Michael in The Office because he thought that rabies made you allergic or afraid to water or something like that. And that's all I could think about while Doc Baker's telling this serious thing. And now Ma is looking suitably horrified, but this was such a thing that she could have died from it. There's no treatment, and he only told Ma.
Yep, let's keep secrets.
Here they are bumping over some prairie grass or something like that looks like it has never been trod upon by anything, let alone a wagon, but somehow they're coming home from Doc Baker's to home. Ma is now tucking Laura into bed, and we get another lion because...
What does she say? Oh, things aren't going to be so bad. Look, you get to stay in bed.
And we'll bring everything.
And Mary's going to do your chores.
Yes, it's going to be
Not the fact that
great.
you're watching her to see if she's got a death sentence. But let's keep it quiet.
No, keep it quiet because, oh my gosh, we're all about the lion.
Man, bring it to us because we got another lion. This time Laura asked Ma directly, Ma, what's going to happen to me? And what does Ma say?
Oh, no, you'll be fine. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen.
So she gets up and turns away and goes down the ladder. She looks right at Pa, who's just standing there with kind of a half-crooked smirk. That's not the truth. What's really going to happen to me?
So Laura knew that her mother was Lion. We knew they knew it.
Lion. What's happening?
Oh my gosh. Laura's saying, say it to me straight. He comes down, he leans over her, he tells her it's really serious business, and then begins to tell her that she's pretty much going to turn into a raccoon. That her eyes are she's going to get that band across her eyes,
and she
and
calls
her ears
him
are going
out.
to get all pointy, and she calls him out on it again.
Yep.
So Laura has at least... not only that, she tells Pa that she felt that she was sent out of Doc Baker's so that Doc Baker could talk where she couldn't hear about it. These adults are all trying to do this evasive maneuvering thing, and Laura is giving them no quarter. She is holding on to her conviction. She knows they are a lion.
You know, it's funny that Pa is really starting to look like a politician because Laura's calling out all of this lion. But we did notice that there is something that is changing on Pa, his suspenders.
His suspender colors seem to be changing. I feel like he was wearing a tan colored and now he had some other color, and I think he has a darker one, so he wears the same shirt, but he changed the colors. And if you listen to our other episodes, you'll understand what we're talking about. But Pa, she had to do a ridiculous amount of prying, which I know it's not an official category, but it makes a big guest star appearance here because she had to keep pushing at Pa for him to give any semblance of, and I don't know what's going to happen, which at least was honest. but she had already figured out that the dog was tied up. She really didn't need anybody to tell her anything because she figured out that the dog's tied up because they think that Jack is going to get sick because he got bit by the rabid raccoon, who is Jasper.
She figured out that the whole family, including Doc Baker, was
Lyin, because they're pressing the button today. Jack refuses water. He puts water down in front of him, Pa, and Jack just lays down next to it and doesn't drink it, which is what we were talking about with the hydrophobia. And then we have Ma up there playing some weird word association game with Laura up in the loft, which we can see her because they're in a place with no walls. There's a fireplace in the middle. And then we see Carrie out of the high chair. She's sitting on Mary's lap, and Mary's reading her book, and Pa comes in and gives Ma the look, and now he's sitting here now. We lived out in the woods once, and they are living out in the woods. They're in the weeds. There's nothing nearby anywhere, and it is nighttime. He's got a light on inside, and he has the door wide open. So there would have been every bug in creation inside of this place, and somehow he is bug-free, and now he's just about to go outside again because now he's thinking that Jack has the rabies, and hears Jack barking.
We come back to Ma on her knees.
Oh my God. Well, no, so Jack didn't turn out he was just barking, and I guess it was nothing. And then Pa shoves his hands in his pockets because he likes to do that. And then we see Mary is looking out there, watching to see if Pa's going to do anything to Jack or to make sure Jack is okay. And she closes the shutters to their window that's up in the loft. And then we come into Ma, and her eyes are twitching like she's been trying to keep them open for the last 40 years. I mean, my gosh, she's on her knees and her eyes are like she's trying desperately to keep them open, and oh my gosh, it was like the drama, the strings, they're bringing us all the things here.
Didn't take long for us to get our very next
Cryin', and it was a double. It was Mary and Laura going back and forth about revealing all their lying and how all this trouble, and how Mary thinks she's the worst sister on the planet because she had to lie over here and lie over there, and if she had just told the truth, maybe this would have been better. And they go back and forth with it, and they both start crying.
But I gotta tell you, for some reason, I'm more willing to accept all this from the kids. It's the fact that the parents do this. That's what kills me. That's what kills me.
Yep.
They are in a full-out panic.
Not only that, I never thought that I would see Ma doing a Lyin by doing chores. She's pretending to do chores so she can watch the dog. She's out there mucking the stall, which we never see her do.
No.
And then we find out from Mary that Laura is thirsty, and Ma goes straight to, it's a sign. She's thirsty. And Pa holds her face and says, it's not a sign. The child's just thirsty. So now he's giving Laura water. That water that Laura was drinking turned into a big crying for her and Mary because Jack starts barking outside. Charles does this very dramatic, epic, looking out of the shutter, looking out the window into the barn. We see Jack jumping around on the rope that he's on, and now he's resigned. He puts his hands in his pockets. Mary's crying. Laura's crying. Ma's trying to hold it together. He goes downstairs. He tells everybody to stay up in the loft.
Grabs the musket.
Carrie must be sleeping through all of this. And then he grabs the musket or whatever off the... mantle. He has it on the mantle above the fireplace, which seems like a very odd place to keep something where it's hot up there. And then he's loading it in full view of Laura, who's laying in bed in the loft because they have no walls, and Ma has to stand in front and try to choke back the tears as he's getting ready. He looks like he's choking back tears himself, and he's getting ready to go out there and shoot the family dog.
Here it comes.
We have another crying, and we got a triple crying of Ma holding on to Laura and Mary. She's rocking them back and forth on the bed. Charles is very slowly going in towards Jack, who is still barking towards something, but instead of looking around, he's only looking at Jack while he puts the bullet
primer in the gun.
Wait, I mean, don't you want the reason you had this dog, you said in the pilot, was because he was a guard dog, not necessarily a family dog, a guard dog. He is alerting to something, he's barking in a certain direction over and over and over again. Do we look in that direction? No, we're only looking at the dog because the dog must be crazy, because he must be rabid, right? Because you've already decided something, and now the dog is realizing after it seemed like 2 or 3 minutes of barking that, he put the bullet in the gun and the gun is facing me, because I'm sure he's gone out with Charles to go hunting a couple of times.
I have to say, it's a good thing that fate seems to intervene sometimes, because if we left solely all the decisions up to Pa, not only would he have blasted a healthy dog, but he would have shot his own kid too.
I mean, I don't think he would have shot his own kid. But, like, he's ready to aim. He's starting to tear up, which was a crying. And then he gets surprised because Jasper, the actual Jasper, comes out and does his little trick that Laura taught him. And then we get an epic swelling of the strings, and we get the chin quivering cry from Pa. And then he throws down a loaded weapon. Runs
musket.
Inside, and everybody but Carrie is crying indoors. And they're rocking back and forth, and you're fine, Laura, and everything's great. Go outside and untie Jack. And she goes outside, and this dog is jumping all over her. She was probably all scratched up from the scene. And then they pull back for the fade out, and everything is right with the world, but they hit us with Dyin, Cryin, and Lyin. They brought it. It was a little slow here and there, but they set it up because we found out that the rabid raccoon was a different raccoon, and that Jack and Laura had been bitten by Jasper, who was the wild but friendly raccoon, and everything is fine.
Do you realize half of this crap happened just because of assumptions?
Yes, actually.
And that happens when you assume. You make an ass
out of you and me. And they did a lot of assuming in this. The only thing they didn't have to assume was that there was a raccoon that was rabid that was now dead because Charles had made it dead, and that there was a chicken who had been, killed by the raccoon.
So, all right, we had the trifecta.
But we had the trifecta. They brought it to us, and most of this stuff, if they had just paid attention a little bit more, could have all been avoided, but they were Dyin, Cryin, and Lyin, and they proved us right, because when they get on those buttons, they were going with that. They were playing a symphony with those crying buttons.
Make sure you join us for the next episode, which is called The Voice of Tinker Jones.
Oh, we remember this one.
It's a good one.
It's a goodie.
And that concludes this episode of Two Lockies,
the podcast.
And our series, Dyin,
Cryin,
and Lyin.
We release these in 3s, so if you enjoyed it, there's more. Go check it out.
Go check them out. We'll see you next time.
We're out.
See ya.
Two Lockies, the podcast.
Two Lockies podcast.
Two Lockies, the podcast.